Yo, what's up? So I'm thinking of something this morning. I'm thinking about how I came into a saving knowledge of the Lord Jesus Christ back in 2008. Now, 10 years before that, I had, quote unquote, got saved in the 6th grade. I was going to a school called Temple Heights Christian School in Chapel, which is what they have in Christian schools. This guy, I think he was a guest preacher, but he was preaching on Revelation. And basically, long story short, I think that preaching on Revelation, it scared the mess out of a whole lot of us. And so there were some of us that, on the surface came to faith because we didn't want, to go to hell. That's a childhood understanding of salvation. A childhood understanding of salvation that I believe that many people, young and old, have. Oh, you don't want to go to hell. You don't want to experience the wrath of God. Get saved. How do you get saved? You believe in Jesus and everything's going to be all good. Fast forward 10 years later, from 1998, when I first made my decision to come to Christ, till 2008. Now, I don't agree with everything, but what I do observe and remember is that Reformed preachers are heavy on the word, unlike anything I'd ever experienced in my life. I was exposed to things called the doctrine of grace, tulip, and all of this other stuff, right? This is the first time in my life when I actually was convicted personally over not necessarily sin, but my sinful state as a being, my total depravity, as it would be, that I couldn't reach God, but God had to reach me. And I just remember being exposed to the gospel. I remember what it felt like for my soul literally to light up to the truth of the gospel. Through the preaching of the gospel, I remember what it was like to be totally convicted of having no hope whatsoever, aside from this little glimmer and flicker of light in the gospel of Jesus Christ. Getting out of hell or getting to heaven is not about getting or not getting to hell. It's about getting the hell out of us. And this is what I want to say. Many of us, I think everybody, can trust in God to save them from wrath, some concept on the outside of saving us from a wrath that we deserve. Everybody can get with that. What many of us can't get with is God saving us from ourselves. We don't realize that the wrath of God is coming on us because of us. A lot of people want to be saved from consequences and they want to be saved from hell and all this other stuff, but they want to live continually in the way that they want to live. And with God, it's never been like that. The whole point with God is that he's pointing at you and he wants to deliver you from yourself. He wants to change and transform you by the gospel. Jesus became a man and died on the cross because of you. And this is not a message that's preached the way that it needs to be in church today and probably in circles back in the day as well. Like literally, I came into a saving knowledge and a saving trust of the Lord Jesus Christ when I was in college in 2008. 10 years after I had supposedly become saved, because what people do is they preach Jesus on the front end. You want to be saved from wrath, come to Christ or whatever the case may be. And the great detriment of that preaching style is you don't really feel the weight and the gravity that you need to feel in order to receive Christ. Now, I had a lot going on in my life from 2008 to 2018 and then up until now. A lot going on. Just because you come to Christ doesn't mean that you live with a proverbial spiritual spoon in your mouth. But what I will say is this: the kind of community that you have yourself connected to after you come into a saving knowledge of Christ matters. You can't get saved and then expose yourself to teaching and preaching that doesn't line up with what first saved you. You can't. You can't have a good bill of health and then continue to eat McDonald's and candy and all this bad nourishment and expect to actually be developed the way that you need to be. And I'm just going to come out and say it. One of the reasons why I am not at the place where I could be is because I had a soft spot in my heart for people that I grew up around in the context of my church as a high schooler and into my adult life. I had familiarity with those people. There was not a gospel-centered focus with those people, and therefore I grew, but my growth could have been a lot more fruitful in the kind of community that I was attached to. Straight like that. I'm going to say that my church associations and fellowships, if they had been richer, the fruit of my life would have been greater. It's just what it is. Like I said, I grew, and it was my responsibility because I know people will put it on you. Oh, it's your responsibility to grow. Yeah, a very important part of your responsibility to grow is to make sure that you're a part of a community that's giving you the nourishment that you need. And here's the thing. There's a lot of people that have come into a greater knowledge of the Lord Jesus Christ that are stuck in churches that for all intents and purposes are dead. They may have been good to you or good for you in the season for whatever that was. But I believe that there's a lot of people nowadays to where you have experienced and tasted a rich truth, but you're settling. You're settling for the Sunday message. You're settling for these words that really don't feed you the way that you need to be fed. And I'm telling you from personal experience that if you're not connected to a community that's going to grow you, you're going to decay. A lot of things in your life are going to happen that actually maybe shouldn't. And it'll happen because you're around certain people that you don't need to be around. You've come to a higher knowledge and a higher revelation of God, and you need higher octane food. You need stronger food. You need stronger meat. You can't survive off of milk. And it's just like me. If I tried to survive off milk for the rest of my life, it'd pretty much be like I'm on a milk fast when I need meat. I'm a 38-year-old man. I need a different kind of diet because of where I am. And what I will say is when I got saved for real in 2008, one thing that I could have did better is change my environment. Because I believe that the environment of the fellowship that I was a part of, it really lended its hand to a stunting of my growth. And ultimately, that's on me. And I think that there are a lot of people that are in that same place to where you know that this place doesn't serve you anymore. It's not bad. It's just not good for you. It doesn't serve you anymore. Milk served you while you was a baby. And to a certain extent, it would serve you for eating cereal. But we all know as adults, we can't survive off of cereal. Or we can survive off of cereal, but we're not going to thrive off of cereal. Nobody's going to eat cereal for the rest of their life and work out and have any kind of good health that's going to cause them to endure life. And so what I'm saying is some of these spaces or community that y'all are in is great. It's great for fellowship. It's great for working on your love walk or whatever the case may be. But it is not giving you the nourishment that you need. They're not feeding you Christ. They're not feeding you. You're not graduating from the milk of the word to the deeper things. But the only thing good that it has going for them is that it's a good church service, is that it's a good fellowship, is that you're around people that you're familiar with and you can pray with and you can cry with and you can worship with. But there's deeper stuff to go into. So I'm not against church fellowship at all. But what I am for is Christ-centeredness. What I am for is proper nourishment. And, don't be like me. that let the familiarity of fellowship stop me from what I know I needed to do as far as eating meat. If you're not served meat across that pulpit and you know what your needs are, then you need to change, you need to shift, you need to move. You need to get up under some teaching that's actually giving you what you need, because I promise you, if you don't, your spiritual life, it will suffer. It will suffer. 2008, 2025, I've been saved effectively for like 17 years. I'm the same age spiritually that my son Jaden is naturally. And all I'm saying is you can be a spiritual 17-year-old with a 5-year-old spiritual mindset, depending on your community. You just really can. And all I'm just saying is it's time to grow. You got to be able to shift yourself to where you need to be. God ain't going to do that for you. God will let you stay in the church for the rest of your life that's not giving to you the way that you need to. And you will stay in a church that's not giving you what you need to based off of familiarity. And at the end of the day, that's going to hurt your walk. Because if you walk with pigs, you're going to end up muddy. If you are hanging around dogs, you're going to have fleas. I can look back over my life from 2008 till now, and I can say that there are certain things and situations that I absolutely should not have been in. But the only reason why I was in those things is because of my surroundings and what I've subjected myself to. I could have been around a lot better community of people that would have challenged me in a lot better ways and would have pointed me in the way that I needed to be pointed in post a real salvation, and would have challenged me to certain things. There's people that got saved around the same time as I did. Freaking, I could think of like Jackie Hill Perry. Jackie Hill Perry and me literally got saved in the same exact year. Look at the fruit of her life, and then I look at the fruit of mine. Not saying that necessarily, I'm not saying necessarily that it's a comparison of fame, because it's not, but the fruit of the life. The fruit of the life speaks. And by the grace of God, I can get with somebody like a Jackie because, we come from that time. We were exposed to a lot of the same things. But I just realized that on the surface, she honestly is a lot better off life-wise because of community. Because of community. Period, point blank. Period, point blank. She's had the grace of community in Chicago or St. Louis, wherever she was, and now in Atlanta. I'm in Tampa, and if anything, maybe it's a call on me to lead those type of communities. And I needed to, maybe be isolated for a certain way so I can lead those kind of communities. Community matters, man. It really matters. Your community will make or break you. It's just like a baby being born. You could be born into a crack house with people that have literally thrown their lives away, or you could be born into a stable house with two parents and that have everything going for them. One of those kids is not going to grow up so great. The other one is. On the surface level, they're going to have a good foundation. Now, what they do is up to them, but at the end of the day, they're going to have a good foundation. And all I'm saying is community matters. The family that you're born into, it matters. And there's a certain age when you get older and you put childish things away where you have to make certain decisions. And I just think that for a lot of us, there's a decision that needs to be made. And we don't want to make it because it's going to be a tough decision. We got to leave people that we love. But you got to go with God. And you got to get the nourishment that you need to get. And you got to be bold enough to say, hey, I'm leaving. And this is why. And you may not agree with it, but I know what I need. Certain places and spaces are good. They're just no longer good for you anymore. You've outgrown them. And those people will be those people, giving what they give, that's called to give. But you got to know when something is good for you and when it's just not no more. Hope that makes sense.